Well, we spoke before the break about the many cases against the former president, and now, for the first time, so is his opponent, Ron DeSantis, specifically about how they're keeping the focus on Trump and not the challengers, including himself.
I would say if I could have one thing change, I wish Trump hadn't been indicted on any of this stuff. I mean, honestly, I think that, from Alvin Bragg on, I've criticized the cases, but I also think it distorted the primary.
Because it's helped him? Is that what you're saying?
It's both that, but then it also has just crowded out, I think, so much other stuff, and it's sucked out a lot of oxygen.
Joining us now, to CNN political commentator is Democratic strategist Paul Begala, and with me here, Republican strategist Alice Stewart. Alice, you just spoke with Governor DeSantis earlier today. Are you surprised by what he said about former President Trump and these indictments?
No, because it's actually true. I mean, I spoke with him on the radio this morning, and he reiterated what he has said in the past, and that what he views, this latest ruling out of Colorado, and many of these indictments, many view these as weaponization of the DOJ and using the system to go against political adversaries. And he views the Colorado ruling just as many of these others. And unfortunately for him and these other candidates, this is getting so much attention by the media, and this is what's dominating the coverage. But he also said it's encouraging when he goes out to Iowa and New Hampshire and speaking with voters. They're not concerned about legal woes of Donald Trump. They're looking at legal woes and financial woes for themselves, how they're going to put food on the table and how they're going to keep their kids safe and keep their kids educated. So they're really focusing on the campaign trail about issues important to the American people in the heartland. And it is unfortunate that Donald Trump is getting a lot of the earned media and the media attention based on these legal woes, because as we're seeing, Pam, it's not hurting his base. They're supporting him, and it certainly is helping him in fundraising. So he's using these legal issues as a way to boost his support and bump his fundraising.
Yeah, if anything, it gives him jet fuel, and you have to wonder if it was any other candidate, if it would have that effect, right? So, Paul, does DeSantis have a point that the Trump indictments have sucked a lot of oxygen from the primary race, and is that really on DeSantis and these other candidates to do something about that rather than just complain about it?
Yeah, I have to say, I was listening to Alice, and she is 1,000 times better at this than Ron DeSantis. I mean it. This is why her candidate won Iowa when she was working for Ted Cruz. DeSantis, there's 24 days until the Iowa caucuses, 24 days. And the only thing he should be talking about is how I can make your life better. Instead, he's whining that his lucky opponent, he's so lucky because he got indicted 4 times on 91 charges. Gee, what a stroke of luck Mr. Trump had. I can't stand whining anyway. But this is free advice. I used to charge a lot of money for this. Talk about the voters' lives, not your life, not Mr. Trump's life. Talk about their lives. Alice is exactly right. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of strain. They're looking for a leader who can help them. Who's going to sit in Ottumwa? Okay, Harold and Ethel. It's my grandparents' name, so I think of them as a typical couple. They're sitting in Ottumwa, Iowa, and Harold turns to Ethel and goes, gee, DeSantis is right about how these indictments have sucked the media oxygen out of the room. Let's make him our president. I'm sorry, it just bothers. It's just as a professional, it offends me. So Alice should run instead of Governor DeSantis.
By the way, I love that their names are Harold and Ethel. That's so cute. I just picture in my head what they look like. All right, so Alice, let's go to Nikki Haley now and talk about her. Play something that she said earlier today in an exchange with an Iowa voter. Let's take a listen.
To me, our former president is just a grave danger to the country and to the Christian church. And my concern is that by people not saying that out loud, we're making it seem like it's okay and that it's normal for people to talk like he talks. So while I want to support you, I also want to hear from you that you also think there's a danger here.
I wouldn't be running if I didn't think that he's not the right person at the right time. I have said multiple times, I don't think it's good for the country for Donald Trump to become president again. I've made that very clear. The problem is, what I have faced, anti-Trumpers think I don't hate him enough. Pro-Trumpers think I don't love him enough. The reality is, I just call it like I see it. It's not personal for me.
Of course, she stopped short of agreeing with that voter that Trump is a danger to the country. I'm wondering to you, Alice, do you think Haley would be able to break through in a bigger way if she answered questions like that more head-on than sort of dance around it?
Again, I go back to what I said before. That is a unique question coming out of the audience. I've been to countless rallies and town halls, even against Donald Trump, most voters are not asking, please pick apart the last stupid thing that Donald Trump says. Please tell me how wrong Donald Trump is. They're not asking about that. They're asking about the economy, safety, and jobs. And those are unique and rare questions. And I think it's important for Nikki Haley, DeSantis, Chris Christie, all of them to pivot back to the issues that are important to Harold and Ethel, Paul Begala's grandparents that are at the machine shed in Urbandale, Iowa, eating a chicken fried steak. And they're concerned about the economy and not these dumb things that Donald Trump says. And look, that one person, I'm sure he was asking about this latest stupid thing Donald Trump said about immigrants into this country, poisoning the blood of this country. That is a ridiculous thing to say. And instead, we should be talking about the concerns that Republicans do have for legal immigration and making sure that we control the border, secure the border, we stop the influx of fentanyl into this country, and also human trafficking. Those are the issues we need to be talking about, not disgusting comments from a former president.
All right, Alice Stewart, Paul Begala, thank you so much. Great to see you both.
Thanks, Pam.
All right, and send Ethel and Harold our best, Paul. All right, up next, just a week after correcting some of her work following plagiarism allegations, and 2 weeks after facing intense criticism over her congressional testimony on anti-Semitism, Harvard President Claudine Gay is once again in the hot seat. We're going to have details on that just ahead.